Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. This time, we're taking a deep dive into Product Ownership Analysis, POA.
That's right.
We've got some fantastic material from the IIBA to help us navigate this.
Yes.
The Guide to Product Ownership Analysis and
POA techniques.
POA techniques,
Yeah.
the companion piece.
Yeah.
Our mission, should we choose to accept it,
Yeah.
is to help you figure out how to make POA work for you.
Exactly. How to actually apply it to your product development process. I mean, it's one thing to read about it.
Right.
It's another thing to actually put it into practice.
Absolutely.
And that's what we want to help our listeners with today.
It's like having all the ingredients to bake a cake,
Yeah.
but no recipe. You might end up with something,
Yeah.
but POA is that recipe for product success. So one of the things that really struck me in the Guide to Product Ownership Analysis
Yeah.
is how much it emphasizes the importance of integrating business analysis with product ownership.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, POA is deeply rooted in business analysis. It brings that structure and those proven techniques that we need to understand the context,
Yeah.
the stakeholders, the potential solutions. Because building a product isn't just about building features, right?
Okay.
It's about building features that deliver actual value. And that's where business analysis comes in.
Now, the source material uses this phrase, structure to discover and assess context.
Mm-hmm.
What does that actually mean for someone like you,
Right.
who's actually building a product?
Okay, so let's break that down. Think about our favorite example, the fitness app.
Okay.
Everyone's building a fitness app these days, but understanding the context for that app means going beyond just the app itself.
Right. So it's more than just like, oh, it needs to track your steps or
Right,
be
yeah,
friendly.
exactly. We need to look at the trends in the fitness industry. What are the competitors doing?
What are people actually struggling with?
Exactly. What are the needs and motivations of your potential users? Are they looking for quick workouts? Do they need social support? Are they data-driven and want detailed progress tracking? We need to get that deep understanding.
And it makes a lot of sense. It's like doing your homework before you even start coding, right?
Yeah.
You've got to understand the landscape.
Exactly. Research is key. And thankfully, the POA techniques source gives us a whole toolkit to work with.
Okay, now you've piqued my interest.
Yeah.
What are some of those tools? What are we working with here?
Well, right off the bat, there's stakeholder analysis.
Okay, familiar one.
Classic but essential, right? Who are all the people who have a stake in your product, right? What are their needs and expectations? How do we involve them effectively?
It sounds like it's kind of creating a roadmap for like who to talk to and when.
Absolutely. Making sure that everyone feels heard, that their input is valued.
Uh-huh.
It's not just about collecting requirements, it's about building relationships.
Gotcha. What else?
All right, so then we've got techniques like customer journey mapping and empathy mapping. These are gold for getting inside the heads of your users, understanding their experience at every touch point.
Okay, I'm picturing those customer journey maps
Ah,
with all the little happy and sad faces.
exactly. Visualizing that emotional experience. And with empathy mapping, we're going even deeper. Not just what they do, but what they think and feel as they're interacting with your product.
That's where it gets really interesting. You're getting into that customer intimacy the IABA talks about.
Yeah, and I think this is what really sets POA apart. It's not just about building a product. It's about building a product that people love to use
Right.
because you understand their needs so deeply.
Right. And speaking of needs, we have to make sure we're building the right things, right? Not just throwing features in there just for the sake of it.
Oh, absolutely. Feature overload is a real danger. We want to be building things that are actually valuable, and that's where techniques like Kano analysis
Okay.
and the value proposition canvas come into play.
Those sound familiar, but remind me, how do they fit into this whole POA picture?
So with Kano analysis, we're figuring out which features are going to delight our users, which ones are just expected, which ones are just basic necessities. It's about going beyond just good enough, right? And creating those wow moments.
I always think of it like, those unexpected little touches at a hotel that make your stay extra special.
Exactly, those little delights. And then with the value proposition canvas, we're making sure our product actually solves real problems for users,
Right.
that it's delivering value they're willing to pay for.
So not just building a product, but building a product that people actually want.
Exactly, hitting that sweet spot between user needs and business goals. And both of these techniques, they really emphasize understanding your customer, right?
Yeah.
Which, as we know, is a core theme in understanding product ownership analysis.
Absolutely. It's all about putting the user at the center of the process.
Absolutely.
This is making me realize that building a successful product is a lot more strategic than I initially thought.
Oh, for sure. It's not just about coding. It's about making smart decisions from the very beginning.
And speaking of making decisions, the IIBA highlights the importance of engaging the whole team throughout the POA process.
Yeah, for sure. You can't do this in a silo. It's a team sport.
Right. Product development.
Right.
So how do we make sure everyone is on board and working together effectively?
All right, so POA techniques, it gives us some fun ones for this. Collaborative games, for example.
Oh, I like games.
A fun way to bring the team together, get everyone on the same page, build consensus. And reviews. Regular check-ins, discuss progress, identify roadblocks.
Right.
Make sure everyone's aligned.
I think those are super crucial for, avoiding surprises and making sure things are moving smoothly.
Exactly. No one likes last-minute fire drills, right?
Yeah.
You want to be proactive, not reactive.
Right. And proactive also means thinking about potential risks.
Yes. Risk analysis and management, another key area. This isn't about being pessimistic, it's about being prepared.
Right.
What could go wrong? How can we mitigate those risks? What's our plan B or C or D?
Right. So having those backup plans in place.
Exactly. POA techniques suggests using a risk register to keep track of all of this. Organized and ready to go.
So we're gathering information, getting the team on board, managing risks. What else do we need to consider to make POA really work for us?
Well, one of the biggest challenges in product development, I think, is making sure you're building the right things at the right time. Prioritization.
Yeah. With so many ideas, it's so easy to get overwhelmed.
Absolutely. And that's where techniques like backlog refinement
Okay.
and prioritization come in.
So just to recap, backlog refinement is about making sure that your list of things to do, that backlog, is up-to-date, organized,
Yes,
and everything on there actually needs to be there.
absolutely. Making sure those items are clear, concise, aligned with your goals, no clutter. And then prioritization, figuring out what's most important, what needs to be tackled first. We've got some great methods for that in POA techniques, Moscow, relative estimation, all sorts of tools to help us make those tough choices.
Right. Especially when you have a backlog that's just overflowing with ideas.
Absolutely. And as we go through this process of gathering information, refining our backlog, prioritizing features, it really starts to feel like a very strategic and iterative process. It absolutely is. POA is all about learning and adapting, evolving to meet those user needs and business goals. It's a dynamic process.
And it's a journey we're going to continue exploring in the next part of our deep dive.
Absolutely. We've got so much more to unpack. Stay tuned.
Can't wait.
And as we learn and adapt, we got to make sure we're headed in the right direction. Making an impact. That's what the IBA emphasizes, right? Not just building features for the sake of building features.
Right. Building something that truly matters, something that makes a difference. But how do we actually translate that, kind of lofty goal into concrete actions?
Okay, so here's where the business case comes in. Now, I know what you're thinking. Ugh, business cases, those dry financial documents.
Yeah. Spreadsheets.
But in a POA context, they become so much more.
Okay. Tell me more. How do we make them more than just spreadsheets?
A business case in POA, it's about telling the story of your product, outlining the vision, the strategies, the expected impact. It's it's the roadmap for your product's success, demonstrating how it's going to create value, not just for your users,
Right.
but for your business as well. And this is where it all ties back to that, understanding your audience, right? And personas are invaluable for that.
Personas. We talked about them a bit earlier. I'm excited to hear more about how they can help us make an impact.
So personas, they're all about breathing life into your target customer. They're those detailed profiles that help you understand their needs, their motivations, their behaviors, what are their goals.
Right.
They make those needs feel real, relatable to the whole team. Suddenly, you're not just designing for users, you're designing for Sarah, the busy mom who wants those quick, effective workouts, or John, the data-driven runner who needs all those detailed progress metrics.
Right. You're thinking about individuals. And that empathy, that's what drives us to build products that make a difference.
Absolutely. And to help us make those impactful decisions, we can turn to another technique from POA techniques, and that is decision modeling and analysis.
Okay. Decision modeling. That sounds very strategic.
It is. It's a structured way to approach those tough choices, especially when we're facing a lot of uncertainty. Remember that debate we were having about whether to prioritize the social sharing feature versus the improved workout tracking accuracy?
Yeah, those were two very different features, appealing to potentially different segments of your user base.
Exactly. Decision modeling helps us break those complex decisions down, analyze the potential impact of each option, weigh the pros and cons, and ultimately make a choice that aligns with our product goals and, of course, our user needs.
So it's like you're taking the emotion out of it, and you're actually using data, using some sort of framework to make that decision.
Absolutely.
Right.
It brings that objectivity, that data-driven thinking to the process. And then once we've made a decision, we can use our business case to document it. Here's why we made this choice. Here are the expected benefits.
It's like creating a paper trail. So even if you forget a year down the road why you made that decision, you can go back and you can see the logic.
Transparency, accountability, key when we're talking about making a real impact. Now, let's shift gears a bit and talk about something that's crucial for any product development process, managing that product backlog.
Ah, yes, the product backlog, that never-ending list of features and bug fixes and improvements. It can feel like a monster sometimes.
It can get out of control quickly, but POA techniques, it gives us some great tools for taming that beast. Backlog refinement, for example, making sure those items on your backlog are clear, concise, and of course aligned with your product goals and your user needs.
So it's like spring cleaning for your product backlog. You're making sure everything's organized, everything's up to date, everything is relevant.
Exactly. And then there's prioritization, figuring out which of those items are most important, what needs to be tackled first. Remember Moscow and relative estimation.
Right. Really helpful for making those choices, especially when that backlog is just bursting at the seams.
Oh, for sure. And as we go through and we prioritize, refine that backlog, we can use things like story mapping to visualize the user journey. Make sure we're delivering value in a way that makes sense.
Okay. So story mapping, I'm picturing like those colorful sticky notes all over the wall, tracing the path of the user through the product.
Exactly. Shared understanding, right. We can see the user experience, identify any potential pain points, any areas where we can improve.
Like creating a roadmap for the user's journey.
Absolutely. And as we think about that journey, we got to remember those non-functional requirements we talked about: performance, security, usability. They might not be as flashy as new features,
Right.
but they're essential for a great user experience.
It's like building a house with a strong foundation. Might not see it, but it's crucial.
Exactly. And speaking of foundations, one of the most important aspects of delivering value is making sure your product actually solves real problems for your target market. The IIBA, they call this obsessing about value.
Obsessing about value. I love that. How do we make sure we're not just building features for the sake of building features?
So one powerful tool for this is the value proposition canvas. It helps you really understand those customers' jobs to be done. What are their pains, their gains? And by mapping your product's features, benefits to those customer needs, you're creating that compelling value proposition that really resonates.
It's like a matchmaking service for your product and your users.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
And once you have that clear understanding of that value proposition, you can use value modeling to visualize it, to communicate it effectively to stakeholders, making sure everyone understands the WHY behind the what.
It's about building a product that people not only need, but they want, that they're excited to use.
Exactly. And to make sure we're delivering that value efficiently, we can turn to a technique called value stream mapping.
Okay, value stream mapping. I'm picturing a map with all the twists and turns of that product development process.
Great analogy. It's about identifying, visualizing all those steps involved in delivering value, from ideation to delivery and everything in between.
So we're tracing the journey of a product from, like, conception to consumption.
Exactly. And by mapping that journey, we can identify bottlenecks, we can eliminate waste, and we can streamline that process.
So it's about optimizing the flow.
Exactly. Making sure that value is flowing smoothly to those end users. Now, we've talked about a lot of techniques here, but I'm wondering, how does this all come together in practice? What does it actually look like to apply POA in the real world?
Yeah. What does it look like in action?
Okay, so let's bring back our trusty fitness app. Let's say we're in those early stages of development. We're trying to figure out what features we should prioritize for our first release.
Okay, so we've got our blank canvas and we've got a million ideas.
Exactly. And this is where POA shines. We start by revisiting those personas, right? Those detailed profiles of our target customer. What are their goals, their motivations? What are their pain points? What are they really looking for in a fitness app?
So those personas, they're guiding our decision-making from the very beginning.
Absolutely. Based on what we learn, we might decide to focus on a core set of features. Workout tracking, personalized recommendations, maybe some basic social features, just for starters.
So starting with that MVP, that minimum viable product, get something out there quickly, start gathering feedback.
Exactly. And as we start building those features, we can use things like story mapping, right?
Yeah.
Visualize that user journey. Make sure we're delivering value in a way that makes sense. And backlog refinement and prioritization, of course, make sure we're building those most important things first.
Right. Staying on track.
Exactly. And all the while, we're gathering feedback from users, we're analyzing metrics, and we're refining our approach based on what we learned.
It's very iterative, data-driven.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of POA. It's not about sticking to some rigid plan. It's about being flexible, being responsive, and always being focused on delivering that value.
This is really eye-opening. It's
Yeah.
not just about the code. It's about making strategic decisions, understanding your users, and being willing to adapt.
And having the right tools and techniques to guide us along the way. We're going to dive even deeper into those tools and techniques in the next part of our deep dive.
Sounds great. Can't wait.
And, all this talk about understanding your users and building the right features and optimizing that workflow, it brings us to a really crucial aspect of POA, and that is delivering often.
Ah, yes. Delivering often. The IBA really stresses that, getting those product increments out there fast and gathering that feedback.
Exactly. Delivering often. It's all about embracing that agile mindset.
Yeah.
We don't have all the answers up front, and the best way to learn and improve is to ship early and to ship often.
So it's about those minimum viable products, those MVPs we were talking about earlier.
Absolutely. MVPs, they let us test assumptions and validate ideas and gather that valuable feedback from real users without investing a ton of time and resources building a fully featured product right out of the gate.
It's failing fast and learning faster. What are some of the techniques that the POA techniques source recommends for this kind of iterative approach?
Well, a couple that come to mind are backlog refinement, right?
Mm-hmm.
Making sure that we're delivering value incrementally, adapting based on feedback.
So we're not just shipping code, we're shipping smart code that's been vetted and tested and refined based on what users are actually telling us.
Precisely. And then there's spikes, those time-boxed research or exploration activities that help us gain a deeper understanding of a particular problem or a technical challenge.
Like little mini experiments to de-risk the unknown.
Exactly. And of course, reviews are always crucial for gathering feedback, making sure everyone's on the same page. Regular reviews help us catch those potential problems early on, but also celebrate those successes.
Yeah, those are important too. It's about those open and honest conversations that keep the project moving in the right direction.
For sure. And all of this emphasis on delivering often and getting feedback, it naturally leads to another key domain in the POA framework, learning fast.
Okay. Learning fast. I'm sensing a theme here.
Right. It's all about embracing this culture of continuous learning and improvement. We have to recognize that mistakes, they're inevitable, but the key is to learn from them quickly and adapt.
It's about turning those oops moments into aha moments.
Right, exactly. The source material, it emphasizes gathering data, analyzing metrics, soliciting feedback from users, stakeholders, all to identify those areas for improvement. It's not just about shipping often, it's about learning from each iteration, each release, each user interaction.
It really does feel like POA is a journey, not a destination.
I love that. And I think the most important destination on that journey is delivering real value, right? To users, to our businesses. The IIBA calls this obsessing about value. And it really is, I think, the heart and soul of POA.
Obsessing about value. Love that. It's about making sure we're not just building features. We're building features that matter, that solve real problems.
Exactly. And to help us stay laser focused on that value, the source material points to a few really great techniques. Value modeling, Kano analysis, and of course those all-important metrics and KPIs.
It's about understanding what's valuable, prioritizing those features, and actually measuring the impact of what we're doing.
Exactly. If we obsess about value at every stage, we can make sure we're building products that are not only functional, but delightful, meaningful, impactful, things that people really love to use.
Wow, what a deep dive this has been into POA. We explored those key domains of the framework, uncovered those powerful techniques, saw how they can be applied in those real-world scenarios. It's been amazing.
It's amazing to see how POA goes beyond just managing a backlog and shipping features. It's about understanding your customer, making those informed decisions, embracing that iterative approach, and always striving to deliver value.
It's about building products that people love to use.
Absolutely. And with that, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive.
This has been an incredible exploration of product ownership analysis. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's been a pleasure. And remember, everyone, the key to building truly exceptional products lies in embracing those principles and techniques of POA. Cultivating customer intimacy, engaging that whole team, making an impact, delivering often, learning fast, and of course, obsessing about value.
Go out there and build something amazing.